So today I'm going to be talking to you about the 7 habits of effective preppers. Let's get to it. As preppers, sometimes we get bad raps, and there's some reasons for that, like the TV series Doomsday Preppers. What they tend to do is they tend to put people on there who are so worried and so fearful of what could happen that they take the extremes and they don't enjoy life. And most of the preppers I know are completely opposite of that. We enjoy life. We just want an insurance policy to extend that life if something were to happen. It's like having homeowners insurance or renters insurance or flood insurance, mortgage insurance. We just want to make sure we're protected if something happens. Most Americans have all those insurances, and most of them are not going to have to use it. But if the day comes when we do have to use it, you're very glad you have it. And prepping is no different. It's just an insurance policy on life and survival. And if the day comes that we need to use it and we have it, we're going to be glad we took the time to get the skills we need to survive and provide for ourselves and our family. The first habit of effective preppers is that we're always improving. And Brian Tracy has got a great quote on this. He says that excellence is not a destination, it's a continuous journey that never ends. And that is so true. So one of the ways that we're always improving is that we're trying to hone our craft. We might be really good at building fires or shelters, but are there ways we can make that better? Can we get to where we can do it in any situation? Can we make the fire faster, make it hotter, make it stronger? Can we make a smokeless fire or a gray man type of fire? Just different things that we can take the skills we've learned and we can just try to make it a little bit better. We're also trying to develop new skills. We're meeting with people in the community. We're joining groups. We're following people online. We're just collaborating with different people that's in our niche who have the same core values and principles and reasons that they want to prep, and we're trying to be better. We're bettering ourselves every day. So the number one of an effective prepper is you've got to always be improving. You got to improve on the skills you have. You got to develop new skills, and you've always got to be learning, because this journey will never end. Once you learn something, you can always make yourself better, and you can always learn more. So always improve. Number 2, an effective prepper always has a plan B and they have a plan C. It's not foolish to think that plan A might not work out. And that does not mean that you have failed. It just means that different circumstances have happened to where you might have to adjust your plan. So, and I know when people are setting plans and trying to reach goals, they put all their focus in on that one goal. And that's okay. That's what helps us achieve it. But you got to be flexible in saying, okay, my path to plan A or goal A has changed because of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to execute plan B, or I'm going to execute plan C. Things rarely turn out as we have planned for. So maybe your bug out location is compromised. Do you have a plan B and a plan C to get to a different location? Do you have a plan maybe to go back and take back over control of your original bug out location? Maybe your food supply was tampered with. Do you have ways that you can grow other food, that you can get other food? Having a plan B and a plan C is not thinking you're going to fail on plan A. It's just making sure your success is that much greater. There's a great quote going around that says, if you don't have a plan B, then you don't have a plan. And that's true. You need to make sure that you have at least a backup plan to a backup plan, so you can ensure no matter what happens, you've got it laid out on paper, you've tried it, you've tested it, and you can get there. So make more than one plan. The third habit of effective preppers is they have situational awareness. Now, if you've ever watched any of the Bourne movies, in the first one, there's a scene early in the movie where Jason is actually sitting in a diner and he is scanning the room. And he is sitting there wondering why he's able to say how much that person weighs or how tall that person, or that person over there could probably defend himself, or which people were carrying, which people were threats. And while that sounds like a superhuman ability, that is actually something you can learn. And in fact, it's taught to our policemen and women, it's taught to our military men and women, and of course, it's taught to our high-level government officials. But situational awareness is something that could pay dividends in any survival situation. And while this could be a whole video series on its own, I'm just going to tell you the 3 levels of situational awareness. So number 1 is perception of the elements in the environment. So that's basically what we were talking about with Born, where we're just going to sit and if we're in a diner or we're at a school or whatever, we're going to be scanning the room. We're going to be noticing things about people, noticing traits about them. Are they carrying weapons? Are they going to be able to defend themselves? Just a quick scan, and once you've done this enough, you'll be able to pick certain people out of a crowd. So practice this, read books on this, but this is the first step in having good situational awareness. So number 2 in situational awareness is the comprehension of the current situation. And basically what we're going to be doing here is we're going to take the things we've learned from our level 1, which was scanning the room, and we're going to put it into a pattern, or we're going to put it into a tactical situation. So we've noticed somebody, we identified that could be a threat. So what's some possible outcomes that could happen right there? Once we've identified the threat, we're basically doing role play in our head to figure out what our next move would be if they would to carry out that threat. And then number 3 in situational awareness is projections of future status. So basically what this is saying is we're taking number 1, we're scanning the room, then we're taking our current situation based on that, and we are going to try to project what will happen, what could happen, and what our response will be to that. So this is very important in that. It's not only important to be able to know who your threat is and what they could do, it's projecting the different outcomes. So let's say we've notified a guy sitting over there, and we think, okay, this guy could be a threat, and we assess our situation, we know our surroundings, we know the exits. What we're going to try to do then is basically role play in our mind. Okay, so he's going to come at me this way. Here's how I'm going to handle this. It's basically a chance to prepare in advance your plan of action. Are you going to confront them? Are you going to dismantle the situation? Or are you going to leave before it happens? And I know this sounds very daunting. Situational awareness is one of the hardest things you're going to learn. But if you learn and you put the time and the effort into it, you're going to be surprised how confident you are in any situation. It's almost going to be like a Sherlock Holmes movie, if you've seen those, where you're planning ahead in your mind and you can see a visual of exactly what's going to happen if you do this, if you act this way. So it is kind of a superhuman ability, but it's one that anybody can learn. I would definitely recommend that you start reading books on that and you start practicing that in any situation. Number 4, effective preppers have practice runs. And what I mean by this is that they might be at work and then they decide they're going to practice how to get home with using nothing but their get home bag or their 72-hour kit, but they're not going to use their car. They're going to walk, or they're going to take different paths. Just different ways with the bags and the preparation you've put together. Make sure you put that practice and that real life skill in there. You know, they're also going to practice how to get to their bug out location on foot and by vehicle by taking different routes. The more you practice, the more your body becomes at ease with it, and it's a lot like muscle memory. You know, another thing they do with these practice runs is they're going to have unscheduled time. And what I mean by that is their spouse or their friend or some of the group might come up and say, okay, guess what? It just hit the fan. We've got 5 minutes now to get out. It's coming towards us. And a scenario like that might be that, okay, you're going to go camping for the weekend. But you're starting it with the preface. You've got 5 minutes. It just hit. You got your 5-minute warning. You've got time to get your bug out bag and the different mobile preps you have for that situation. So you're not stopping by the store on your way there. Whatever's in your bag is your food, is your water, is your shelter for that night or for that weekend. And so if you run out of a calorie bar in that, then what's left is whatever you have in there to catch your food, trap your food, hunt your food, and the same for water filtration. So really taking the time to put together a good bag and practicing that, wow, this situation is probably the most realistic you can do, and it's going to teach you so much If it gets to a critical situation, of course you can get in your car and leave. But then you're going to know, okay, well, I made it 24 hours, but I didn't have this in there. I didn't have that in there. If you've ever seen that TV series, Dude, You're Screwed, it's about four friends who are lifelong survivalists, army men, preppers. And what they do is they trick them into some place, and they'll put a bag over their head, and they'll drop them remotely somewhere all over the world. And they've got so much time to survive and to get to where there is help. Now, these are guys who were trained by the top level in the military and have practiced survival skills their whole life. And there are times on the show where they fail. And if they fail having that background, it just shows you how much more you need to prepare, and you need to have these dry runs. The number 5 habit of an effective prepper is they always stay informed. And what I mean by this is they know what's going on in their local community, what's going on in their state government, in the federal government, in the world scenario. They know what kind of laws are coming down the pipeline that could be passed that's going to affect their situation or affect their ability to prep different supplies so they can act accordingly. They're going to know the local weather, what's coming down. Is there a chance for bad weather, for tornadoes? Is there a chance for flooding? They're going to talk to other people. They're going to have friends in different places where they can say, hey, what have you heard about this? Staying informed in anything, but really when you're prepping, is the key to everything. There are going to be some things that happen that you're going to have no prep time, and you need to be prepared for that. But the fact of the matter is, most things that could happen and that do happen, you have a little notice in. And you would have even more notice if you would stay informed. You'd read the paper articles, you'd read the blogs, you'd listen to the news, you listen to different authorities in there. So make sure you're always informed of things that are going on, not only locally, but globally. The 6th habit of effective preppers is they're able to improvise. Now, I know when you're thinking of improv, you might be thinking of acting or stand-up comedy, and you're going to need to use a lot of those skills, and in fact, they can translate over into survival. The only difference is, instead of not having a script, you're going to be without a survival item that you deemed was very important to your survival. So you need to be able to make things out of thin air and use things in your natural surroundings with the natural elements to help further your situation. Because the fact of the matter is, in most emergencies, we're going to be left in less than ideal situations. So how you can improve on your improvisational skills is you can, okay, I don't have my lighter. Can I make a fire using bushcraft, rubbing 2 sticks, using a bow drill method? Okay, I don't have my water straw. How can I filter water? Do I know how to gather it? Can I make a bowl to boil it in? Can I make the fire to boil it? You're going to need to learn bushcraft skills so you can build the things you need to build. Having improv skills is going to be huge in survival. We need to learn how to repurpose and to reuse the items that are around us. Because even if you have everything that you intended to have and you don't have to improv a lot, eventually those things are going to get broken, or they're going to get lost, or they're going to get stolen. So you're going to have to be able to build with the things you see around you, build what you need to survive. So being able to improvise in any survival situation is paramount in being able to extend your survival, and not just surviving, but thriving. Okay, number 7 on the list of habits of effective preppers is being physically and mentally fit. And these two are overlooked a lot, but they are paramount in any survival situation. So let's look at it this way. Nowadays, if you want to eat, you go in your car, you drive to the store, and you're home in 30 minutes. You just go pick up your food. If you're cold, you throw some blankets on. If you're hot, you turn the air conditioner on. Well, these things will no longer be there in a true SHTF situation. So what took you 30 minutes before to gather your food, gather your water, make sure you're warm or you're cold, it's now going to take 8 to 10 hours a day to gather the firewood, to gather the food, to hunt it, to catch it, to prepare it, to cook it, to stay warm, to keep your shelter built. So what you could do in 30 minutes is now taking half of the day. And if your body can't handle up to that stress, you're not going to survive very long. And if your body fails, then mentally and emotionally, you're going to fail not too long after that. And vice versa. If you start off and mentally you fail right off the bat, the body is going to follow that as well. So you want to make sure you take the time to treat these as very important preps. You know, devote as much time you can a week into getting fit. Eat right, have the right diets, do the right cardio, lift the right weights. You want to ensure your survival long term, this should be one of your top preps. And then on the mental side of things, what helps you mentally is knowing that you're physically fit. It's knowing that you have had the right preps, you have had the right training, and you can handle the situation. You also want to always be reaching out to groups, people in your close knit group that have been there to encourage you and that can enhance your survival situation. Because as hard as it's going to be physically to survive, it might even be harder mentally. So read the books and get the emotional and the spiritual healing and the health you need daily. Well, there you have it, guys. The 7 habits of effective preppers. And what I like about this list is easy for anybody to do. All you got to do is determine that I want to spend my time daily or weekly on this. And if you will do that, I guarantee you, you will be so further along. Just practicing this list is going to separate you from the weekend preppers to the preppers who know they can survive any situation at the drop of a pin. I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please like it. I appreciate your time, and as always, remember, prepare, survive, and thrive.